Welcome to the Life After Plus One podcast, where we turn life's lemons into delightful lemonade. Get ready for inspiring stories, uplifting conversations, and all the tips and tricks to rock your single parent journey with style. I'm your host, Leanne, and it's time to embrace the adventure of Life After Plus One. So, let's dive in. Hello. Welcome back to Life After Plus One. I'm Leanne, your podcast host and your single parent mentor and coach. And I wanted to jump on today with a little bonus episode, which is something I've been planning to do ever since I stepped back from doing one episode. So for those of you that have been following from the beginning, I was doing 2 episodes at the start. And then I did drop back to 1 episode with the intentions on doing a bonus episode every now and then. But life gets busy, doesn't it? Especially when you're a single parent. But I wanted to jump on today and do this little special episode because I know what it's like to be in your shoes. And that's what this episode is about. And I want to talk about getting help and how so many people refuse, or not so much refuse, but are scared to ask for help. Asking for help is like a sign that you're failing or a sign that something's not right in your life. And let's be honest, who does have a life that is perfect? Nobody does. We all have some areas in our life that we can improve on. And hey, I can put my hand up and say, I'm sure there's lots of things that I can improve on in my life. I'm not trying to imply that I'm perfect, but it's my job here to provide the right support to help you all in your journey as a single parent. But sadly, the thing is, it's either that they refuse to get help, or that they don't think that they need help, they think they're fine, or they don't have time to get help, or that there's shame in getting help. Either way, it's time we lose that stigma. It's time we lose that shame that is associated with getting help. And where I come from with this is, now, I do want to really emphasize this point by saying I'm not having any attacks on anyone. I'm not having a dig at anyone. And I'm definitely not having any negative opinions or thoughts towards anyone by saying this. But I am going to address something that's happened with me behind the scenes. And it's happened on multiple occasions. And it's made me realize, okay, there's a trend happening here and I want to address it. And that trend is the number of people that have booked one-on-one sessions with me. And it's that free initial session where I get to meet them. I get to see where they're at in their single parent journey, hear their story, and they get to learn a bit about me and what I offer as well. And I've had a lot of these situations where people have booked in for that free one-on-one session, and they've just done a no-show. Now, again, I'm not having a dig at them because I totally respect where they're coming from. But it's really made me want to step back and go, okay, what's going on here? Now, I understand that when I was in that phase as a single parent, you don't want to ask for help or you don't think you need help. And really, no one can get help or no one can change where they're at in their life by someone else forcing that on them. And that is definitely not what I'm here to do. I'm not here to force anyone to change. I'm not here to force my opinions onto anyone. The only way you can change, or the only way you can change something about your life, is by you making that decision yourself. You need to be ready to do that. And so I understand that when a lot of people take on that decision to have that free one-on-one chat, and there is no obligations, there's no commitment, there's no financial transaction that's been made because this particular session is a free one. So it's easy to all of a sudden just pull out and not turn up because there's no loss on that end. So me coming in from someone that's actually hosting that session or that's there to actually listen as a coach and listen to their story and address the ways that I can support them and find out ways of what we can do to change their mindset to better their scenario. Because when someone reaches out, there's something that's not working in their life. Now, it could be related to co-parenting. It could be related to dating. It could be related just to having no time and feeling overwhelmed. the loneliness, the guilt, the shame. There's so many factors that come into play as a single parent that people can need or do require support in. And that's okay. It doesn't make you a bad person. It doesn't make you less than. If anything, it's something you should be tapping yourself on the back for and really being proud of yourself for wanting to take that next step. Because making change, it's a big decision. It is a big decision, and it's one that not many actually choose to take because it's so much easier to stay comfortable. It's so much easier to stay where you're at. And making change means actually stepping back and looking at what's not working in your life. And for some people, that's very overwhelming and it's very scary. And coaching is not scary by no means, and that's not what I mean by that. Because what my job is when you book a session with me is I look at what's not working. What can we change to make your life a little bit easier so you're not constantly in or dealing with these same problems? You're not constantly going through these same cycles with your ex and with dating and with everything else in your life. We're looking at what's not working and we're saying, okay, what can we do to make this easier for you? And as I just said, it is a big step to make. And it's a big commitment because you're actually putting your whole life story out there for someone you haven't met. And I do understand it can be very overwhelming. And taking that next step to actually want to change, it's scary in a way because you need to be at that place where you're ready to really let go. And letting go is a very big step, and it shows that you're ready to move on. And a lot of people, without realizing it, they don't want to make change because there's still a part of them that's clinging on to that past life. And some people may be secretly hoping it works out. Some people may secretly be hoping that they can just make it work on their own. Some people may secretly be hoping that their ex will just turn around and be a better person. But I hate to be the Debbie Downer in this situation, but things don't just magically change overnight. And this is one thing, and I even say this to my daughter all the time. If something's not working in your life, then we need to change something. You can't keep going through these same problems and expecting a different outcome if you're not doing anything differently. So if you want a different result with your dating life, with your co-parent, with anything that's happening in your life, you need to do that by start changing something about the way you're handling the situation. And sometimes, for many people, that's not something that they can do on their own. And that's okay. That's okay. Because if you step back and have a look, the most elite athletes in the world have a coach. Top business people, top CEOs, top executives, they have a coach or someone that supports them or mentors them, even if it's a PA, someone that helps them. So what I'm getting at here is people that get help and people that want to make a change for the better, they're not people that are down the bottom, that are struggling in life. They're actually the ones that are succeeding in life because they're wanting to do something to better their situation. So if you're in a spot where you think, oh no, I want you to realize what is the worst that can happen by speaking to someone such as myself and wanting to get that little bit of support to help you with where you're at. Now, I'm not trying to make this a little tacky sales pitch. This is not what it's about. What I am wanting to address is the fact that I have had a lot of people pull out of those sessions. And I'm wanting to more so reinforce and to address the point that there is nothing to be scared of. There is nothing to be ashamed of. My job here is not to sit there and laugh at you. I don't mock anyone's situation. It's all kept in privacy. And it's all about getting off your chest. That initial consult is your chance to really vent and get it all out of your chest and talk about where you're at. And it can be scary moving forward. It can be scary talking about your past. And I know firsthand what it's like when I actually spoke to someone about my situation as a single parent. And I had blacked out so much of my past and what I went through because it was that horrific. And I didn't realize that until someone actually started asking me questions. And I'm like, I really can't remember. And I thought that was insane that I couldn't remember these basic questions that happened not that long ago, when now it was years and years ago. But back then I'm like, shit, I don't remember because I had blacked it out. So I do understand that when you're going through this process, there may be things that are scary to discuss. There may be things that you haven't spoken about to anybody else. There may be things that are hard for you to talk about or you're just not ready to talk about. And that's okay. That's why this whole process is something that can only be done at a time when you're ready. But the point of it is for you to understand that getting help or doing something to make a change for the better for you is not a sign of weakness, and it's definitely not a sign or something that you should be ashamed of or embarrassed of. Because if you speak to anyone that's done the work on themselves, I can guarantee you they're not the people that are sitting there in anger and hurt and frustration. They're the people that have moved on to happier lives. They're the people that have made progress in their life. And that's what you want. Take, for example, myself. I was at that place where I had so much hurt and so much anger. I was at that place where my ex pissed me off so much one day, I threw my phone and I smashed it. And I was so pissed off at myself afterwards that I did that. But he got me so riled up that he pushed me to the point where I just wanted to throw something. And my phone was in my hand because I just got off the phone with him, and that's what it was. I smashed my phone. So I know what it's like to be in that space where you still got a lot of built up anger and a lot of built up frustration. And when you're in that place, you're quite often not ready to see things from another perspective as yet. You're still holding on to that. And that's okay, because it takes time to actually get to a place where you're willing to recognize, okay, this isn't okay. And going through a breakup, you're dealing with a lot of emotions. You're dealing with a lot of different steps. Your divorce, your settlement, your custody. There's all these different factors that come into play when you're going through a breakup as a single parent. And quite often speaking to somebody else is not on that priority list. You have too many other things to focus on. But also there's one thing that I do also like to address. And that is when you speak to someone, whether it be myself or somebody else, when you speak to a coach or getting through, or a counselor or a psychologist even, dealing with these things that you're going through in your breakup and all these emotions that you're holding on to, it helps and it works in your favor when you're going through that process with a divorce lawyer. Because when you're going through that with a lawyer and you're speaking to them, all you're caring about is just wanting to fight for what you want. And that's fine. That's understandable. That's what everyone wants to do. But when you're able to get yourself in a clearer headspace and in a position where you can make these big life-changing decisions from a better headspace and not making these choices from a space of revenge or a space of, no, they're not getting what they want, I'm going to win. It's all about win, win, win. That's not how you approach a divorce or a breakup or a settlement or a custody. You do it as what you think is good for the kids and what you think is most appropriate for the kids, how it's going to benefit them, and how it's going to benefit you in the long run. But ideally, it's about how it's going to benefit the kids. Your ex is in your life for your kids. You need to learn to focus to separate your emotions. And that's the hard part. And that's where I come in. Because the your co-parenting arrangement is not about your breakup. As hard as it is, and as much as you want it about you and you want a bit of attention and you want to feel loved because you're hurting because of the breakup, it's hard to put that to the side and box it up and throw it away and focus on, okay, I can't put my attention on that. I need to focus on what the kids need. It is hard to do that. And I don't expect anyone to do that and pretend like that didn't just happen. You need to deal with that. You need to address it. And there is a time and a place. And that's why I always say you need to get those breakup emotions under control. Because when you go through a breakup at the beginning, you're angry and you will take it out on anyone that has an opinion that will trigger you in the slightest. Because people that are going through breakups and going through divorce and going through settlements and custody and everything else, they're usually at a place where they're very hurt. But to cut a long story short, what I wanted to really address in this episode is those emotions are always going to be there unless you address it. You can't just sweep things under the carpet because eventually at some point when you start dating again, you meet someone new, that hurt and anger and frustration that you've had from your previous breakup, whether it be with your husband, your wife, or a de facto relationship or whatever your situation was, those feelings are still going to be there. And then when you jump into that new relationship, something's going to happen where it triggers you and boom, it just comes out again. And that's what I want to address here. As soon as someone talks about something in your world that triggers you, boom, you're going to get angry. And that's why it's so important to deal with that. And really what I wanted to address was, yes, you do need to deal with those emotions. You can't just sweep them under the carpet. But I do understand what it's like to be on that other side when you need to sit on that Zoom call and all of a sudden you're facing someone. It's like, shit, I'm not ready for this. I can't do this. I don't want to just talk to someone. I do understand what that's like. And in time, when you're ready, you will make that step. In time, when you're ready, when you're fed up of your life, because that's what it takes. We all get to a point in our life where we're like, fuck it, I'm done. I can't live like this anymore. I need to do something. And that's what it takes to get to a point where you want to see change. Because being comfortable is the easier option, isn't it? Your life is fine, even though there are things that are not working, even though there are things that are shit and you're not happy with. It's getting by, you're comfortable. But it takes something to really push you to breaking point, to be like, I'm done. I cannot take this anymore. And when you are at that point, I'll be here ready to support you and listen to your story. So I do understand how hard it is to be on that other end of that Zoom call and to share your whole life story and to share your hardest moments from your breakup. I do understand. And 100% I respect how hard that is for you to do that. And I have full respect for those that have done that and that are willing to put themselves out there and that are willing to put their trust in me. And if you're not there yet, and if you're not ready to take that leap, then I have full respect for you as well. I don't think any less of anyone that's at a different stage because we've all been at our own stage in life. And you all make that next step when you're ready to. So really what I wanted to address was that when it comes to wanting to make changes in your life, you need to be 100% ready and you need to be 100% in. And no one can force you to do that. You may have friends saying, oh, you've got to see someone. You've got to do something about it. You've got to do this. You've got to do that. But if you're not mentally and emotionally ready, it's not going to happen. You need to be in that space where you're ready to start making changes. You're fed up of what's happening and you're like, fuck, I've got to change this. And when you do that, you realize it is an extremely empowering position to be in when you can step back and look at your life and go, wow, look how much I've changed. Look how much I have grown. 2 years ago, I would have been doing this. Like, for example, my situation. 11, 12 years ago, I was throwing a phone and I was smashing it. Now, I probably wouldn't even react. I wouldn't even respond. I wouldn't even have any reaction. And that's what life is about. It's about growing and being the best version of yourself. And that is constantly what I'm trying to put out there in my podcast. I'm not forcing my opinions on anyone. I'm not forcing anyone to take on my beliefs. I am trying to provide a more helpful and positive way to look at things as a single parent when you're not in that headspace to see things from that perspective as yet. because you are angry when you first break up. You are confused. You are overwhelmed. You're not thinking straight, and you're not in a place where you can see things from a glass half full perspective. You're like, nope, not happy with that. No, how dare you say that? How dare you force your opinions on me? I don't agree with that. No way. Who do you think you are? And in time, you will actually start to realize, okay, this isn't healthy. I need to change something here. And it's also a great thing to remember that if you are in the process of going through the legal system with your ex and working out your settlement, your custody, your divorce, and you're going through all these processes, it's important to remember that if you're actually speaking to someone and you're actually taking the steps to do what you can to better your life, that works in your favor. They're not going to look at you and go, well, why are you speaking to someone? Why are you doing that for? There must be something wrong with you. Nobody looks at somebody who wants to improve their life as a failure or there must be something wrong with you. They will look at your situation and be like, okay, that's great. They're wanting to make change. They're wanting to better their situation. They're wanting to do the right thing. It works in your favor. Getting help, getting support is nothing that's ever going to hinder your result in the legal system. It's not going to hinder or have a negative impact on who you are as a parent. If anything, it will have more of a positive effect, because it's going to work in your favor, because it's showing that you're wanting to grow. It's showing that you're wanting to be a better person. And it's not just about showing, it's you are going to be a better person. You are going to handle things better as a parent and as a co-parent. And it does make your life so much easier because you don't have that stress. You don't have that drama. I'm in a situation now where I don't have any stress and drama. The only time I get stressed in my life is when my daughter leaves food in her bedroom. That is the one thing that pisses me off. And I let her know about that. And that is the only stress I have in my life, because I don't let other things worry me. I'm at a place now where I can happily co-parent at a place where there is no drama. Even though I don't like my ex, I don't think highly of him at all. I don't agree with the way he parents. I don't agree with the way he is not present in my daughter's life. There's a lot of things I don't agree with about him. But that's him. I can't change him. But I can control the way I handle what he does. And I don't react. I don't get involved. I focus on how I parent my daughter. I focus on being present for my daughter. Because if I spent all my days worrying about how he doesn't turn up for Father's Day events, how he doesn't turn up for school events, how he's not present, how he doesn't do this, how he doesn't pay for that, I would be in a white jacket in a white padded room. I can tell you that. There is no point me stressing about things that he is not doing, because it's only going to make my life harder, and that is not what I want. I want my life to be easier. I want my life to be happier. I want no stress or drama in my life. And that's pretty much where I'm at, because I don't focus on things that I can't control. So I've really gone off on another tangent here, but to cut it down, or to wrap it up, really what I wanted to say is, when getting help, I do understand what it's like to be on that other side and how daunting and overwhelming it can be for you. I do understand that, and I respect that. But I also want you to please understand that I fully acknowledge the step and the leap of faith it takes to put your trust in me to want to do that, or with somebody else, to actually want to open up to them. And I do understand that not everyone is in a place to do that. Not everyone is ready to do that. But if you're wanting to change something about your life, then it's up to you to make that change. And by being scared and fearful of what people might think if you do get help or support, or fearful of the shame or the stigma that's going to have on you, I want you to really focus on, okay, what's more important here? Me and my mental health and how I show up for my kids every day, or worrying about what everyone else thinks of me? Why should you worry about those people? They're not your people. Your people will be there to support you and say, you know what, that's a great idea. You should do that. So this is your reminder that if you want help, There are people out there like myself that are willing to be there for you. It is your safe space to open up. And if you do want change, then you need to make that happen. You need to take that first step. And it is scary, but it's also worth it. And as I always say, get comfortable with being uncomfortable. You don't grow by being comfortable. If you want to change, if you want to grow, then get uncomfortable. And by speaking to someone and sharing your story and doing something different, it does mean getting uncomfortable. And it may give you the nerves and the butterflies, and you might start feeling a little bit anxious. But that's how you grow, and that's how you become a better person. So that's what I really wanted to get across in today's episode, that getting help is nothing to be scared of. It's nothing to be ashamed of. And it's all about you being the best version of yourself. So that's about it from me, guys. Stay posted for Tuesday's episode. It's an exciting one where I'm talking to a divorce lawyer, and I'm going through a whole heap of questions about the legal system when you go through a breakup. So thank you again. And if you feel like you are ready to take that step, you are wanting to make that change for the better, then jump on to the show notes below. All my details are there, and there is that free one-on-one chat available. And to be honest with you, I am thinking about removing that soon. So if you do want to jump on and make the most of that offer while it's still there, then get on while I do have it available. And like I said, that link is in the show notes. So thank you all for listening. And please, I really hope you got something from this, and take that step, take that initiative to do something better for you. And it's not necessarily booking a coaching session. It could just be doing anything for yourself that makes you feel good. Get comfortable with being uncomfortable. So thank you, guys. That's it from me. And until next week, I'll be in your ear. Thank you for joining us on the Life After Plus One podcast. If you loved what you heard today and looking for some further support, then jump onto our website, lifeafterplusone.com. Plus, don't forget to check out our Instagram page for further resources and inspo. You can find all the links in the show notes. And remember, you're not alone on this path. I'm looking forward to seeing you on the next episode. And in the meantime, keep thriving, keep growing, and keep exploring your amazing life after plus one.